let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Sebastian Laux, who writes, "You talked about how the Ezra Miller video could affect The Flash, but I wonder what will happen to another big WB franchise. Ezra's character is essential to the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and it kind of revolves around him. Also, taking into consideration that they kept Johnny Depp as Grindelwald after that drama, and Rowling directors and producers supported him and stood behind the casting choice, do you see something similar happening here?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, you know what? You're absolutely right. In the midst of all the discussion going on, specifically about the Ezra Miller, really the conversations have mostly been revolving around, and understandably so, have been revolving around The Flash. What happens with The Flash? Do they recast him? Do they cancel the movie and all that kind of stuff? But we didn't really give a lot of discussion time to the notion of, well, what happens with Fantastic Beasts? Because you're right. His character is a vital character. And if you saw Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald, you know by the end of that film just how important the Ezra Miller character is to this whole thing. So what happens? I think there's a couple of dynamics here. I think there's a couple of dynamics at play. Dynamic number 1 is the character is important, the actor ain't. The character is important, the actor isn't. Now, don't misinterpret me. Of course, actors are super important. Of course they are. I'm not suggesting otherwise. But I've always said on this show, Rob, and others, that the character supersedes the actor playing them. The character. The actors are there to serve the characters. The characters are not there to serve the actors. You can recast. Actually, in the world of Harry Potter, Dumbledore was recast. Granted, the circumstances were different because Richard Harris passed away and they had to go out and get another one. But still, the bottom line is on screen, we had one actor playing Dumbledore and then we had another. And guess what? We didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a beat. Now, some people may want to point out certain people like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool. Yeah, there are some times that the interconnectedness between the performer and the character they're playing becomes really, really strong, and it's hard to pull those two apart. But even then, I think every actor is replaceable. And I think you can do that. I don't think people think about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them and instantly think Ezra Miller. I just don't think that's the case. I think they think about maybe even more Johnny Depp now. So that's one element to keep in mind. The second element to keep in mind here is the one you brought up in the email, which is, in the midst of a lot of controversy, this group of creators, with J.K. Rowling and the producers and stuff like that, they decided to go with Johnny Depp, and they decided to stand behind their decision. That could play a part in what happens with Ezra Miller moving forward. They may decide, look, whatever's going on with him outside of this, choke slamming women or not, he's our guy. I'm not saying they will, I'm saying they may. Because they have done that in a modestly similar situation to that with Johnny Depp. Which, by the way, I thought Johnny Depp was great in The Crimes of Grindelwald. That's just me personally. I thought he was wonderful in that film. The difference is we've got Ezra Miller on video, Rob. We got Ezra Miller on video. That has been confirmed by Variety. It was legit. I thought it wasn't legit at first. Turns out it was. Like literally physically getting into an altercation with a girl and taking her to the ground.
Not a good look.
Not a good look. And whereas maybe JK may want to stand behind, I'm not saying she will. I'm just saying maybe she does. Even if a JK decides to stand behind him on this, and where Warner Brothers always try to give JK as much leeway as she wants to have, I have a feeling that barring, we said this the other day, Rob, barring new information coming to light that changes our perception of the situation, which could still happen, but barring that, I don't think this is going to be JK's decision. I think this is going to be a Warner Brothers decision. And unless something changes, I think, I'm not staking my life on it, but I think they're going to pull him out of this movie and they're going to recast. And I think we're going to hear an announcement about that sooner rather than later. I don't mean in the next 24 hours or anything like that, but I think we're going to find out relatively soon that they're going to pull him out of this. I do believe there are some openings there that they could keep him in, but I think at the end of the day, Warner Brothers is going to come in and veto any other decision, and I think they're going to pull him out. But that's how I see things working out. Again, we're not talking about whether we think they should pull him out or they shouldn't. I'm simply telling you what I think will happen. Not what should, not what shouldn't, what will. So that's how I see it. Rob, you're looking at this. The person asking the question is right. This is a little bit of a different situation than the Flash situation, but how do you see the situation with Fantastic Beasts shaken out?
Again, I mean, I just don't see why people do these kinds of things to themselves. I mean, Ezra Miller, can you imagine you're an actor in not one, but two of the same studio's big franchise properties? Your life is pretty much set. You have one thing to do, and that's when you go out in public, don't fuck up. And this was something that was hugely detrimental. And I'm surprised why his management team, whether they're just going to throw him to the curb. I'm surprised he hasn't got right out in front of this, profusely apologized, gone to that girl and done a video with her and her friends and talk about what a monumental douchebag he was, throw himself on the mercy of the world court. And I that's the only way that I see them getting around this. I like Ezra Miller as a performer. I've always liked him in his appearances, and I think he's a really interesting performer. I really like watching him on screen, and I'm mostly saddened. Look, for the girl that was victimized by him, obviously a terrible thing, especially if she was a fan. Again, I'm still not clear why he would have attacked her that way. But either way, get out in front of this thing, because I don't see that the studio has much of a choice. You can't spend $150 or $200 million on these giant franchise films going into them knowing you've got a PR problem with one of your lead actors. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know why he hasn't come out and made a statement, or why he hasn't. It bums me out when I see this kind of thing happen.
It seems to me, because we're now like 48 hours after the fact, it seems to me they're adopting a let's wait till this blows over kind of strategy. This ain't blowing over.
No.
It feels to me like, and I could be, hey, listen, let me throw this. I am speculating, okay? I am speculating. I'm not basing this on any inside information. Let's be very clear about that. But it feels to me like they're going hey, you know what, Ezra? Listen, there's all this COVID-19 stuff going on. Donald Trump is holding daily press conferences. There's a lot going on in the news. If we just stay quiet, shh, this will all just kind of blow over and everyone will forget about it and we'll be right back on set pretty soon. And I think you are so right about that. Rob, this was an opportunity, and I think he's got maybe 12 more hours to do this. If he doesn't do this in the next 12 hours, I think the opportunity's lost. He comes immediately out and does just like you just said. Throw yourself on the mercy of the world court and just say, look, I got no excuse. What happened in that video is not indicative of my character. And I'm embarrassed by what I did. I'm disgusted by what I did. I hated what I did. I probably made that girl feel scared. I made myself look dumb. I've embarrassed the companies that I represent. I've embarrassed the franchise I represent. And all I can say is
America, John. He was in Iceland.
He was an American citizen in another country, embarrassing the country.
Iceland's one of the coolest countries in the world. Who besmirches the reputation of Iceland? Americans don't do that. I've wanted to go to Reykjavik my whole life.
But you know what, Rob? The thing is, I have found, good or bad, that the North American movie-going audience can be very forgiving. They can be. And I think if he pulls something like that, maybe it doesn't save Flash and Fantastic Beasts. But if he gets out of this gets in front of this immediately, I think it saves his career. Like maybe not Flash, maybe not Fantastic Beasts, but I think it saves his career if he does. But I think the longer he sits there, it makes it look like I'm not going to take this seriously. I'm just going to hope this blows over. I don't know. It's not a good look. But hey, listen, again, I'm with you. I like Ezra Miller as an actor very much. I happen to like him as the Flash. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fair, but I really enjoyed his iteration of the Flash. The question here is, guys, what do you think's going to happen here? Do you think that Fantastic Beasts is going to be approached differently by Warner Brothers because maybe it's a little bit of a different set of circumstances? Do you believe that's not going to have anything to do with it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.